When we were children, we were playing with dolls. Now doll wants to eat, now doll wants to sleep. We understand that really the doll itself never wanted anything. There was a doll living in our imagination, and the doll that was living in our mind wanted to eat or to sleep. And then we have children of our own. And whenever a baby is born, we have right away two children. One of them is the child that I'm looking at, and the other one, my perception of him, how I see him in my head, the child that is living in my mind. And they don't always want the same thing. It is late at night, and the child that is living in my head wants to go to sleep, but the child that I see in front of me is jumping up and down. They say that sweaters are meant to be worn by the children when their mothers are cold. Of course, if the mother is cold, then the child that is living in her head is also cold. The frictions that we see between us and our children happen most of the time because the children that we have living in our heads don't match up to the children that we see in front of us. And the same goes for our relationships with our spouses. Every married man has two wives. One is the one that he sees in front of him, and the other one is the perception of her that he has created in his head. And between these two wives, there can be sometimes a very big disagreement. One of them wants one thing and the other one wants something else. The wife that he sees in front of him tells him what she wants, and he says, this is what she wants. I know what she really wants, because the wife that is living in my head told me what she wants. And the same goes for women. Most of the time, wives have two husbands. In fact, this also applies to how we look at all people around us. We always create a perception of each person that we see. And when I talk to a friend, I'm talking really not to him. I'm talking to the understanding of who he is that I have created in my mind. And the same goes for my relationship with God. There is God who gave us the Torah, and in it, He wrote what He wants from us. But often there is a second God living in our heads. And we think, Shabbos? Kosher? Is that what God wants? I know what God really wants, because the God that I created in my head told me. Believing that God is a creation of human imagination is very convenient, because this God, the God that you created, will never tell you anything you don't want to hear, and will never ask of you anything you don't want to do. But we believe that God is an objective reality that created this world. And this God may have disagreements with the God that we created in our minds. Judaism forbids polygamy, having more than one wife. Judaism forbids polyandry, having more than one husband. Judaism forbids polytheism, having more than one God. Let's try to make sure that we will have only one wife, one husband, and only one God.